The encirclement is tightening. This is a tremendous deal, believe me.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Bulls vs. Bears, episode 108. The battered software stocks recover as the AI narrative corrects, or as I like to call it, goes back to being the truth. Kai and JT, welcome, boys.
Hello.
Hello there, and thanks for listening. And and don't forget, I want to point out this is the last day of the month, so we've had a nice push in the XJO. Could be end of month window washing, but who knows?
Oh, well, you know, that'd be the first time in the last 18 months the ASX has managed to do that. But so this is as of this morning. The ASX obviously doing a lot better than many of the other indexes. We're at record highs. And our old mate BHP doing a hell of a lot of the heavy lifting. The US yet again, and I will say, you know, this is not me making excuses for my poor score on being bullish or bearish, but I think the S&P has been net change under 1%, either down or up for God knows how long. That's how good Chen is, that he's 6 out of 7, and that's the margin of error. So
That's right. It's like if it was like a roaring trend in either direction, and like he got 6 out of 7, you're like, okay, fair enough. He's called the trend correctly, but there has been no trend, just pretty much sideways choppiness, and my man Chen, what are you batting? Like 87%? Is that 7 out of 8 or
83.33?
Oh,
6 out of 7.
Quantitative.
Well, 83.80, which means I'm like 16 point something percent. Oh God! But you know, as I say, it's only a 0.5% difference. As an old trainer of mine used to say, excuses are the nails that build a house of failure. So I'm not going to give any more excuses. Look, Nasdaq was largely dragged down by Nvidia last night, which reported really well and was up 4 or 5%, and then got whacked 10%. The excuses for it were as thin as I could possibly see. That the report they released was pretty much, it was pretty much like 18 months ago would have been worth about a 25% upside move, but it was, you know, it really all felt to me like they were just going to smack it no matter what. So we do have some stuff to talk about the Aussie because of earnings. Woolworths, which I think probably is the most impressive result out of all of them, because it, like, on a boring to size of move ratio, that's like a 50% move in Woolworths. Because it's just got the world's worst beta. It just never moves. And but look, this is the big one over here. BHP, I don't think we've seen double-digit positive week in BHP for ages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's dragging the index up. And, you know, the banks, you know, everyone keeps talking about the banks still, but realistically, BHP, which is, for the record, and I did call this, now a copper company, not an iron ore company. Shout out to those who laughed at me when I said that. It was not actually genius. You just had to work out that, you know, copper production from last quarter times the new copper price. But you know, apparently it was, you know, it was ridiculous. And look, we've got Linus, Pilbara, these guys. I mean, Zimbabwe shut down lithium exports, so that really pushed a lot of the lithium stocks higher. And then, I mean, Fortescue drifted a little bit.
But can I just have a bit of a shout out to the people that have been on the Widowmaker trade, which is long SPY, short S&P. That has been the Widowmaker trade for a very, very long time. And the fact that Nvidia earnings came out, S&P pretty much down, Nasdaq down, but SPY, here we are, end of the month, and we are fresh new highs. So all the people out there that, we used to be like, hey, our market should play catch up. It has to play catch up. Our market is great value. You have to go long long SPY and on, to reduce risk, short S&P. And, I'm talking 2 decades of experience from this.
This is the only winning month they've had since 2011.
Exactly. So that's why I want to highlight this as an important note, that the money is rotating out of the US. You know what I mean? Like, the US has had an unfair advantage of it for so long. Everyone, used to buy their bonds and had to reinvest into something that they could, tangibly invest. But now things have gone on the reverse. Like, basically, the US has gone so expensive that now the rest of the world is value, and now we're starting to reverse this. And so, as I said, shout out to all the people that have been on the Widowmaker trade for well over 20 years that I've seen this trade, and then now it's time to pay dividends. So hopefully you're going to pay. I think
you're very much stretching saying that it's paying dividends.
All I'm saying is
most of those people who have done that trade are either dead or bankrupt. So
absolutely. So anyone that's still holding on, kudos to you, because this is the one month where we're back, baby.
You got 3.8% back this month.
Yeah, exactly right.
And that's a bit of an in joke. Like, it's someone who, like, I personally have seen more people than I care to remember lose money on that trade. It usually is people buying the ASX because it's lagging, and then when the ASX
it has to catch up. It has to catch up.
Yeah, it has to catch up, and then they turn around and they sell the S&P as a hedge. It never works. Anyway, back to Stockland. So 2 companies this week, WiseTech and Block, were very much rewarded for sacking anywhere up to 50% of their staff and replacing them with AI, which is kind of, look, sorry to the people who obviously they're losing their jobs, but Block sacked 45% or 40% of their development people. WiseTech has largely done the same. They're getting replaced by, their customer service, they're getting replaced by chatbots and Claude, coding AI. So I think WiseTech jumped about 16 or 17%, and Block, like, that's 26% for the week, but it was up 29 in one day. So that
all in one
concerns. Yeah, all in one hit. But I generally have concerns because the narrative around AI, Anthropic's having a stoush with the Pentagon. The Claude, some hackers have actually forced Claude or Anthropic's new version to hack the Mexican government, and it's actually stolen 150 gig of private data. And there was there's a lot of questions around how far Claude, the open Claude, the AI assistant that Kai described in last week's, which sounds like the world's largest security risk in an automated AI form, got banned by Google this week. Within 24 hours it was replaced. It was replaced by Perplexity releasing nearly exactly the same software with slightly better security. CBA got done for $1 billion worth of mortgage fraud, was rumoured, and most of the documents were AI generated. And then the last one, Woolworths chatbot went rogue and had a malfunction and started asking for its mother. So it's a very weird scenario in terms of, we've let this thing just run so fast and there's no controls around it. And I've never really seen these stories come out in the past. They've always been blitzkrieged by how positive AI is. But those job losses, I don't know. I can smell that the general public might just start, and the press are starting to turn on AI a little bit. The robots are actually coming to get us. Particularly, there was a fair bit of hate for the Boston Dynamics robot that can dance, and I got that verified by. Got to go on Twitter and check this thing out. It's Magic freaking Mike. So it I thought it was an AI generated image, and it's genuine. And I'm like, there's a bunch of guys out there who, a bunch of males out there who can't dance, who are probably just under their breath going, it's freaking robots. So it's been look, even Ramsay Healthcare down here, shadows, they're almost been suffering as long as the Widowmaker people, in terms of getting a little bit back as well. Some Reece shareholders had fairly positive earnings, and they rallied. Wesfarmers was a good result, but it got hit, and I think that largely kind of Drone Shield reported well, and it was up quite. And then the press are now back in love with Oleg Vornik. I'd like to say I stayed strong with Oleg, and we launched his career here on MPC Podcast. But
either way, I think net though, we have to congratulate that the XGO is going to close at record highs.
Yeah, on a Friday at month end.
At the Friday at month end. So, yeah, whoever thinks these markets aren't, how can I say, massaged or pushed in the right direction, all I can say is it's going to be a very, very positive candle for the XJO. And it just shows that the fund inflows does have an effect in this market.
So this is the section of the market map I want to focus on here, because this was like vomit for a long time. So Claude, but the rumors about what Claude can do, basically, this is the section of the market map that it's savaged, and there's been a fair bit of bounce back here. And I mean, IBM's only down 5, but it was down 13 or 14 at one stage, just in one day.
Yeah, exactly, huge.
And yeah, so this was a lot worse. Earlier in the month, and like I said, that narrative starting to turn. I'd like to think, myself and Kai Chen's software survivors strategy and YouTube video probably really put the low in, I think.
That's it.
Which Kai, you'll have to, everyone, you should go to our threat heat map and you can watch the video. Kai gives some really good insights into that. But yeah, it's not like it's a pretty speckled market map overall. The defense was up early in the week, then it was down. God knows why Apple's up. Not really a lot to talk about, and like apart from the fact that the bleeding seems to have stopped in this area of the market as people start to wake up. But yeah, our old friend Silver's made a nice little 5-day comeback, and Platinum, and trading around about 90, and Lithium, I mean, gave away a little bit yesterday, but it was, still a pretty good week overall. Same good week for gold, and that's all on the back of we're going to do the troop movements. So Kai, you've been very quiet thus far, but it'll be your time to shine when we get to the software pillars, because me and JT.
I thought you were going to say about the carriers. I mean, I don't know.
Well, we were just discussing the carriers, and so this is to scale, and this could not be a more phallic measuring competition if ever I've seen one. But so the one thing I love about this is China's got one. It's just a training vessel. They can't really take it out to sea. They don't have any naval experience. The Admiral, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. We were reading some fun facts about this boat, and apparently it must be deployed with a tugboat because it breaks down so much. And they've only got one of them.
One missile could potentially destroy it.
Yeah. And look, if you just took out the tugboat and it breaks down, what's it going to do? Whereas the US has got like 10 or 12 of these things. And look, I mean, they're carrying 80 aircraft. it's a 100,000 tons displacement. These things are like minnows, realistically. Like they're carrying. So the HMS Queen Elizabeth actually works, and the French one works.
Mm-hmm.
French soldiers potentially, have a history of not so much working. I think it comes with a white flag and a French flag, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, these
it's
two
interesting
work.
because the US one, well, like nuclear propulsion is actually the game of carriers, right? So like,
Yeah.
there's diesel powered carriers, there's nuclear powered carriers. US is actually, I'm not sure if the UK and French ones are nuclear powered, but like
No,
the US ones are,
the French one is nuclear. The
they are.
Queen Elizabeth is diesel.
Interesting.
So
Yeah. So basically, I think actually China's got three now, right? So the first one they ended up acquiring off Ukraine. They refitted all that. That's a diesel power one. Didn't do. I think that one's really really old. The second one is also a model off that, but the third one's actually like modeled off the US carriers. So they got electronic
the
propulsion.
Chinese wouldn't copy something from design in the US, would they?
Yeah. It's all indigenous design.
Yeah, of course it is.
But I think the fourth one that they're making is going to be nuclear propulsion. So I think they're actually catching up quite a bit in carrier technology.
So can I just throw in something left field from here? And this is from a Twitter feed that I've had a chat with some of my dads who are US based. So the US Gerald Ford, the reason why it's taken so long to actually get into service is it's got a lot of problems with the actual engineering within the ship itself. And when I'm talking engineering, the actual toilets. So,
right.
So for some reason, they've like cut corners on some of the toilets within the ship, and there's like I think 4,000 people on the boat.
No. There is 10,000 people on that boat.
But either way, there's a lot of people on the boat. And they've had problems with the amount of toilets in there, and the average wait time for you to do your business is 45 minutes. So, yeah, exactly. So,
you keep your troops pretty angry and aggressive.
Exactly. So while we joke about some of the other trips, like it's not like the US are infallible in this endeavor. So, I just found that funny that. That came up in my Twitter feed. I asked a few things.
Stuff
exactly, and let's just say that they could have struck earlier, but they were waiting for some working toilets. So
there you go. So the reason, we talked way too much about supercarriers then. So basically, this is, and I found this map. So JT, I said to JT, can you update that map? And I went, and then his phone rang, so I just knew I was stuck with the job. But so this map's live. So the US government surely that's, surely they're obviously just given up.
Military procedure.
What's this like? So why would you give that away? But anyway, so as you can see, they've literally just got like naval presence around their own coastline and pretty much just around here. Although there's a lowly carrier over here. So the USS Gerald Ford's there. Look, they're surrounded by supercarriers and long deployed missile. And I don't know who they're defending against over here. Like, I don't think Hawaii's going to attack. But that seems to be, I suppose, China and Russia. That's actually, now I think about it, that was a stupid thing to say. But so a lot of troop deployment. If they don't attack this weekend, it will be the most expensive and largest troop deployment for a non-attack in US history by a long, long margin. So everyone is just assuming they're going to attack. Although Trump's now saying that the negotiations are going well, and I don't know. It's like, whatever. But look, we now have a reference point to say, like, but and the little red ones are destroyers and stuff like that. There's a whole key to it. If you go to, it's the INSS.org is the site. You can go and get the US Forces live map. if you're having trouble sleeping or whatever, you want to, you need to snooze.
Can we just add a little bit of a disclaimer? Is that like we joke about this event, and we are in a world where we get so much information right now, but this is super serious. You know what I mean? Like the US invading into the Middle East again, into like like we joke about it, and
they're not talking about boots on the ground, are they?
All I'm saying is that like this is the start of something serious. I just want to put the disclaimer in that because we're in Australia, and in general we should be so far away that it won't affect us. But this is actually serious stuff, and the fact that Trump's just going there. Negotiations going fine. Negotiations aren't going fine. We're going to invade. Like this is actually, if this was say the start of World War II, and then we're instituting a draft, and then everyone has to go to war. Look, this is game on. But the fact that we're very disconnected, and we can joke about all these troops and all these ships going in, and because we're not on the front line, we're like, okay, well, let's assess the problems and put a first try score bet on it. Like that's the kind of world that we're in now. It is so disconnected. And then when you actually,
I think what happens when you've got a lunatic running the free world is that there's so many ridiculous things said every day.
Exactly, but all I'm saying is like
immune to it.
Yeah, all I'm saying is like let's just not dismiss the fact that this is super serious. We're talking about a whole country, a whole sovereign country that could be invaded, all on the back of as I said. Let's not go on into the politics of the whole thing, but this is super serious. I hope nothing happens, but as you said, the probabilities of the fact is that this sort of amount of warfare has been deployed, and in history, history tells us that something will happen. And it's interesting.
I mean, look, we're not. Our job's to stay out of politics and make sure that we're not defending nations, we're defending portfolios. So
pretty much, yeah.
And speaking of which, Claude has waged a war on software.
Wow!
And this is only back till July. But look at the smacking that these guys 35. They're the best ones. 35% from all time highs. Like these guys here, it's like whoa. And so we think extraordinarily cheap. Go and watch our strategy. I do believe. So Kai, explain the 5 pillars of why we chose these stocks. So these are all in our enhanced growth strategy. It's a leverage strategy, or it's buying calls, so it's not technically leveraged. But you're getting like 7 times your exposure for your money. We're doing them in cybersecurity pair. That's Viva and Pro Medicus as a healthcare, and then these two are the enterprise resource planning software. Tell us why they have a moat, Kai.
So I think the 5 pillars that we spoke about, and actually we had a bit more criteria and whittled them down, but really we're concerned about the most important thing. And this is such, and I say it again, this is such a silly reason why to sell off all tech stocks, right? But I get there's some tech stocks which will have less of a moat, like things like where it's only the user interface or things like that. And basically what we, in short form, what we talked about is the most important is proprietary data. And the example use case is imagine giving a AI model your health diagnosis. You go, I've got these symptoms. Tell me, Claude, what do I have? Like if you don't have the right data, it will not be able to make an accurate diagnosis. It might be pretty good, but for things that are a bit more obscure, it definitely won't have the correct thing. So if you really take it out a bit larger, you need to have the right data. A lot of data in this world that's research or frontier stuff, it's not disclosed, right? Like Prometheus is not giving out all the trade secrets, and they have a lot of trade secrets. That's not trained. The LLMs aren't trained on that. Right? You might have very basic information, and you can test out on some of these prompts, right? Like you go, tell me about Prometheus technology in detail, and it'll give you some vague answer. And it's because they don't have the data to train on it. It's not publicly available. So that's actually one of the higher modes, and of course regulatory and compliance. So if we're talking about healthcare tech and stuff like that, you need to have the regulatory compliance and FDA approval. That takes time. That takes years of research. You can't do that overnight. Claude's not going to come in and take that. I think, but let's even take one step back and these software companies are businesses, right? They're solving a problem in this world. That's really the value of it, right? Like, sure, you can say in the pre-AI, there's a lot of dev costs because you got to hire developer teams, create all these things, and that's actually going to be taken away. And as we can already see, in WiseTech, in Square, you don't need hundreds of dev to achieve the same thing. But again, like I think the market has bluntly punished all tech stocks and saying this is going to be gone in 2 days. No, this isn't the case. I think it lowers a competitive barrier, but there's opportunity here because of that indiscriminate sell-off. These companies with high moats, I think, are really big opportunity. So, yeah, that's
so. I'm just trying to share here at the moment. This is the little threat map that we did. It's got 45 companies in it, and you can go to mpcmarkets.com.au/AI-threat-2-SaaS, or just check our socials, whatever. So you can tick the boxes and filter out, and then as you hover over, so basically these are beneficiaries, low threat to high threat. So basically, bottom right, not good. Top left, awesome, but essentially. And you can hover over these and it goes through. So all of our data and all of our research we've put into it. And look, and Kai's got first-hand experience of this. He built Mosaic for us. It really, and he's lived this. And I've pulled together a bunch of research and I mean, I've been very careful for him to vet it and check it all along the way. And we've tried to be really scientific about this generally. So you can untick and tick. There's a bunch of ASX and US names in there, but it'll actually tell you why, and then and why it is where it is. So this is an immediate threat, as in it's threatened now, and then this is up to 5 years at the top here. So like an elevated or moderate threat doesn't mean that they're necessarily a sell. It just means that we don't know. Whereas these guys here, like, your Vivas, your WiseTechs, your Prometheus, your Palantir, they basically tick nearly all of the 5 pillars, if not all of the 5 pillars. So it's just and disclaimer, I got Claude to code this thing, right? So I'm not, it is insanely useful. We have been using it here at MPC. We've got the premium versions of nearly all of the large language models here. They have strengths and weaknesses in different areas. But being a small team that have experienced people, it's perfect for us because we can get it to do the grunt work for us. But it doesn't, unless you point it in the right direction, it doesn't replace you. And that's that domain knowledge that Kai's talking about.
So basically what you're saying is that you ask AI to tell us what you are not a threat of.
Yeah, well, no, because I actually specifically have to now, particularly when I'm doing the morning report, I have to specify, I compile from, so we've had to go and subscribe to proper news sources like Bloomberg, paid news services, because it was taking me 15 minutes to get the morning report out about a month or two ago. It was taking up to an hour because I would read it and go, what the hell? Like, Monday morning, it put a move in the futures market that the market wasn't even open. And I challenged it, and it went, my bad. like so that's where that possibly you're not going to cop my bad if you've asked it like, do I have cancer? And things, or how do I treat this? How do I treat this wound?
Yeah. So
and stuff like that. So but the error rate is it's made a few websites unusable for market news now because it's inaccurate.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I guess I want to add here is that because I'm been in the markets a long time, I'm a bit of a business nerd, and so I kind of understand business modes. And I guess what AI has kind of miscalculated, or just from experience, is that there's some modes that just take a long time to build, and the fact that it takes so much time, so much capital, so much effort to actually build those modes that they just can't be taken away by lines of code. And that's the whole point of the companies that we're involved, that we want to invest in, that have been taken down by these sort of AI incorrect narratives. That these are companies that have modes that will survive this sort of AI infrastructure.
And look, and from a consumer point of view, you don't want to and that's where I think they've got maybe Xero. I think's undervalued, because there's things in life you don't want to screw up, and it's your health. Get into a Barney with the tax department, or be ransomware and have all your data stolen. From a consumer standpoint, and Pro Medicus and Viva. So good luck getting an FDA approval. Even if you can write the code, good luck getting an FDA approval. 70% failure rate. And that's if you and that's if you're good. These guys with and having cyber, it will strengthen your cybersecurity in terms of being able to show you vulnerabilities. But the hilarious thing about the move in these, which was this week, was the Anthropic report that said that they could do cybersecurity came out 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that really triggered this last downfall. They put the cybersecurity report in a PDF behind a paygate that you had to sign up to, and the fall in the cyber stocks was that it flooded around the internet that was a new release. It was the same release, but it was just behind a paygate as a special report. So but these things move so fast, and it's shoot first, ask questions later, or sell first, ask questions later. And that's where I thought we would have. So we were doing this research. We've been doing some stupid hours because I thought we'd have much more time to get this strategy going. And the reality is we've had to Guy and I busted ourselves to get this out with yesterday, and so we can start to strike, because the narrative moves so fast now. Or you can just see it turning already, and I'm like, oh God, because and you could sort of see back in the heat map as well. Some of them are still falling, and some of them probably still deserve to fall. Zoom and those guys. There are some companies that just AI is gonna take them out. But it's one thing to have the code, as JT said, but can you make a business out of it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can. How many apps don't get if you don't have a sales team, you're never going to sell it. So so that's kind of a contextual comparison to how much they're down versus the index. So they're that's pretty. I think the S&P, the Nasdaq's actually up, and these things are down 40. So so yeah, and then that was you can there you go. You can scan that QR code to go to that site that I just fumbled around to get up. But these are basically the top the top picks based in, essentially, and then these guys here, Appen particularly, and then Snowflake, Workday, Zero with a high threat, but mainly on margin compression. I thought 360 would have a much higher threat, but apparently it doesn't. But we are trying to stick to this, and we're going to try and keep this as a bit of a living document as new technology comes out, because Perplexity Computers come out, which is like a workflow automation that connects to multiple models. DeepSeek's new version comes out next week, apparently, because they've told Nvidia and AMD they can't use their chips, can't have the model released to them, but they've given it to Huawei. So that'll come out next week. Whether there's a big move in because of that as well, but there's a fair bit of work going into the back end of that. And as we come up to a 6 from 7, and then we've got like the angry bear here in the middle. And I'm staying bearish. And I'm sorry, JT, you didn't.
I said I'm voting against Kai. Like I'm behind in the tipping comp, and I just have to. I have to just try and break that lead. So yeah,
I'm a 3 out of 5 bear. I think that Nvidia move really that's the worst poker face the market's ever shown.
So I'm in agreement.
I reckon we're down
I think
3 or 4% next week.
Yeah, and just to highlight my case is that we've had a good artificial move into the end of the month, just to pump up the numbers, and I think we'll see a bit of selling first week. So come on, the Bears. That's all I can say because it hasn't worked so far. And
look, I'm genuinely bearish, but there was a little like when Kai went bullish because I'm so far behind now that it's actually getting quite embarrassing. We're nearly in the neutral phase, which makes me feel even more bearish. Because we were a little bit too in the fear sort of category last week. So, it's still up 0.5%. I don't know. There's been a bit of private credit stuff. I did have because I got rid of it because of the aircraft carriers, but people in the US Googling how help with my mortgage actually reached double the levels of 2008, but I don't think that's fair context because the internet had only been around for about 12 years then. And you didn't have a smartphone where you could Google it while you were going home from work or blah, blah, blah. But it's never let, stats are very flexible, but you can always prove your point. 80% of people know that. That Blue Owl thing as well was not great, and then Sam Altman as well is still copping a lot of heat. And then obviously Iran. So I have to stay bearish, except for software stocks, which I'm massively bullish on.
Which have already been hit and should be bottoming out here.
Yes. Hopefully we're not catching the falling anvil.
But have you used this opportunity to talk about the blue owl in the coal mine?
Oh, that's a massive missed opportunity from the market pundits.
Yeah, they said blue owl is the canary in the coal mine. I'm like, hang on, we talked about this far too much actually, but for like a bunch of people that love stupid names like SaaSpocalypse and stuff like that, the blue owl and the mine chart, very clear missed opportunity. Mm-hmm.
So we will wrap it up. Do yourself, it's S708 or sophisticated only, but either way, go and watch whether you can invest or not, whether you're retail. And if you are retail, look, for listeners of the podcast, I'll throw in a free month where you can see our recommendations so you can see us update. And you can have Mosaic for a month because I feel a bit bad that it's wholesale only. But go and watch the video anyway and have a read of the PDF, because whether you're doing that specific strategy or not, everyone knows that these companies are either cheap or then, but it is really good research from, one of the smartest people I know, Chen, and who's lived it, and we've really put in a massive amount of effort into it. JT's just been buying bloody gold stocks and lithium and making loads of money all week, so he wasn't really involved, I've got to say. But it MI6 was your pick this week. I think what was it? It's up about like 50% or something, isn't it?
No. So it's actually up 30% from entry. But you always talk about, I've taught you to buy the highs. That was a masterclass in buying the highs because go
and look at that chart. It's,
exactly.
5 of the best green candles you'll ever see. Shout out to Jackie out there. She loves a green candle. But yeah. So and look, and how we've tweaked our strategy in dollar cost averaging as well has probably helped us quite a bit. But thankfully, earnings season is over both in the US and the Aussie, so we can have a breath at least a little bit next week. Boys, wrap it up. Unless anyone's got any final quotes.
No. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. We will chat again next week. General advice warning. The content presented in this presentation is intended for informational purposes only and provides general advice only. It does not take into account your personal objectives, financial situation, or specific needs. This information should not be the sole resource when making investment decisions. We strongly recommend you seek the advice of a financial professional.